So today we're going to be talking about the United States in World War One. We're kind of towards the end of the unit. We're kind of moving along in where we are. Last time we did a couple of things on European technology and whatnot, but we're taking a different approach and looking at the United States in World War One. More specifically, we're going to be talking about their introduction in World War One, kind of the cause and effect of what got them into the war in the first place. So do now. Get your freehand notes ready, or if you want to do electric notes on like a Word document, that's fine. But just there's a couple things you're gonna want to have to jot down, so make sure that you have that ready, and make sure your Pear Deck is also working. There's a couple of websites you're going to be visiting, and obviously some responses you'll be having to fill out. So make sure that's ready, so you know what you're doing. So general overview, like I said before, we're kind of going over the introduction, the things that got them into the war. We could obviously talk about them on the battlefield, we could talk about the foreign policy, we could talk about all sorts of things, but I kind of want to go into a more broad area, kind of like an introduction to this section of the unit, because there's a lot of different reasons America got in the war, and a lot of them are kind of important. So going over them now would be a better segue into like the more general stuff of like them on the battlefield and whatnot. So this is the first Pear Deck response, so fill it out as you see fit, but think for a minute about what the US was doing before they entered World War One. Just like all these battles were happening from 1914 to 1918, America doesn't join in until the last 6 months of the war. So think what's going on in the US at this time. What are they doing? What are they thinking? And now think of any possibilities for them joining. Obviously, you can write down if you know the answer. I mean, there's a couple of answers you can go with, but just think for a minute. What do you think could even prompt them from getting into war? What is the reason America has to join in a European war, essentially? So, what did you guys think of? I'm going to be looking at your Pear Decks later on, but a lot of you, I imagine, probably said, "Oh, I bet America was just probably ignoring it," or "Oh, I bet America was trying to support countries like Great Britain." Those are all great answers, and actually, America was doing a lot. And like on the pictures here, women actually had a huge role in this time period. Women were actually doing a whole lot more than they were allowed or that they were used to. So a lot was going on in America at the time during World War One. So America joining in wasn't really a far stretch. So let's talk about some possible causes. Down below is a website on the thing we're going to be talking about. So a couple of these topics, you'll see a website. If you want to look at them and like kind of analyze the documents, you can, just so you get a bigger picture of what we're talking about here. So the RMS Lusitania, this is the first plausible cause, and this is a big one. So the RMS Lusitania was an American passenger vessel that was sunk by German submarines near Ireland. So essentially, Germany has submarines all over the coast off of the UK and off of Europe. They're in the Atlantic all over the place. And what happened is they told ships saying, hey, if you have weapons, if you have gear, if you have contraband, we are authorized to shoot you. And America, the US said, hey, this is a passenger vessel. Don't shoot us. Like, don't shoot us down, obviously. Of course, that didn't happen. Of course, unfortunately, that didn't happen. The Lusitania was entering occupied waters, trying to travel towards the UK, and was conducting themselves in a non-lethal vessel. German submarines shot that down anyway. The reason being because Germany saw mounted turrets, and there was actually a possibly reported amount of ammunitions and gunpowder and a lot of other supplies hidden on that vessel with passengers used as a sort of smokescreen. Uh, because the ship was shot down, 1,000 plus bodies were lost and presumed dead in the sinking. Of course, an American ship that was neutral in the war shot down by the Germans. It's a pretty big reason for America to enter the war. Now, this is a really big one. This is a super, super big one. The plausible cause number 2 is the Zimmermann telegram. So Germany basically needed America to stay as far away from the war as possible. Germany knew that America, the United States of America, are this big superpower. They have a huge military, huge weaponry. They would be a very big turning point if they sided with countries like France and Great Britain. So Germany's Foreign Secretary, Arthur Zimmermann, sent a secret telegram to Mexico urging them to wage war on the United States. And as a result, they'd win back Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. Mexico would get all their land back. It'd be great. And Germany would back them and fund them. Mexico knew that this was a terrible, really bad idea. Germany knew that not only would they lose a fight against the US, but they were in the middle of a civil war at the time. So this wasn't even a plausible idea for them. They just didn't even consider this as a good idea. The best part is that Great Britain actually intercepted this telegram before it even reaches America. So, I mean, the idea that they couldn't even get this secret telegram out was bad. And Mexico immediately told the United States as well. So Mexico basically said, "Hey, we're not going to fight you guys. That's a bad idea. Germany did this." And of course, that made America really mad that Germany tried to pull this under the rug. So, not a very good idea by Germany, but a big reason for America to get involved in the war. This last one's kind of interesting. It's not a very concrete one, but there's a lot of speculation around it. A lot of historians have been looking at this. So, trade and economics. So, it's not a very popular theory, but many believe that the U.S.'s trade and European trade with Europeans was being delayed, inhibited. It's becoming way too difficult. I mean, with this war, it's hard to trade with those countries when there's so much war going on, especially with things like the Lusitania that got shot down. So, it was also rumored that the U.S. wasn't doing financially great and was looking for ways to increase revenue. How do you increase revenue? War. So combining those two things, we need Europe to stop fighting, and if we get into war, we get money. So that's a pretty good incentive for America to join, but it's not the most popular of the reasons that America probably did join. So below is an article activity. It's actually a really big article on a couple of other small and niche topics about the U.S. going into World War I. So I want you to take a look at that website and kind of look over and analyze it. And then on the next slide, I want you to comment anything that stood out to you, anything that you found interesting or deemed noteworthy. Don't just say the first paragraph, actually go through this document and see what you like, see what you noticed. There's definitely things about women, there's definitely things about soldiers, there's things about foreign affairs, there's a lot of interesting stuff. So find something niche, find something specific that you really deem an interesting thing that we haven't covered already. So obviously, what stood out to you? On the picture behind me, you'll see Woodrow Wilson. That's the president of the United States during World War I. He made a lot of those but he made a lot of the big decisions. He originally did not want to go to war, but obviously with all the things we've just talked about, there was really no way for him to get away from it. And on the right is the trench shotgun. This is kind of not a very specific topic. I just thought it'd be something cool to show you. This gun actually became a very, very big issue at the end of World War I. A lot of countries, mainly Germany, tried to ban this weapon from warfare entirely. So America obviously did some contributions both before and during the war. And obviously in our next lesson, we'll be talking more about this person and this weapon in the near future. So synthesis task. Consider being a U.S. citizen and seeing the war happening in Europe. It's 1915, you're a U.S. citizen, you're going to school, you're going to work, and in Europe, I mean, there's fighting happening. There are countries fighting each other and dying. What would you be thinking? What is going on in your head? Then, after that, I want you to consider how you feel if the U.S. announced that they would join the war. How would you feel about that? How would you think? Not only have you been seeing the war going on, but now your country is going into the war. So, what's your thought process going in? And we'll talk about your responses in the next class. So, a general summary, kind of short, kind of sweet. America had its reasons for getting in the war. Some being economical, some being revenge for shot down comrades. A lot of different reasons, and all of them are really interesting reasons. I honestly think that there's a lot to go off of and a lot to think about. But you can see that every country has their reasons, and America's weren't as bold or specific as the others, but America did have a genuine reason to join the war, and any of one of those reasons makes a lot of sense in the end. So lastly, to kind of finish this off, I want you to think of something ideal like, did the US have a clear motive for joining the war? We just talked about, yeah, these are some pretty good reasons, but do you think that those reasons had any merit to them? What do you think personally? They're good reasons, and I mean, those are the reasons America joined the war, but do you think those were good reasons? And let's say you were in charge of the country. This is the big one here. What if you were in charge? Would you have joined the war? Would you have actually made that decision like Woodrow Wilson? Would you have done the same thing he did? Obviously, comment down below, and we'll discuss next time. All right, thank you.